I struggled with infertility for 7 years. When I finally got pregnant, my brother accused me of being selfish. Now he's showing up drunk at my house demanding to see my newborn. I, 34F, never thought I'd be in this position, torn between my lifelong dream of motherhood and my relationship with my older brother Jake, 38M. Growing up, Jake and I were inseparable. He was my protector, my confidant, and my best friend. We come from a close-knit family, and our parents always emphasized the importance of sibling bonds. Jake was the one who taught me to ride a bike, helped me with my homework, and scared away the boys who tried to bully me in middle school. As we grew older, our bond remained strong. When I met my husband Alex, 35M, in college, Jake was initially skeptical. He grilled Alex relentlessly during our first family dinner, asking about his intentions and future plans. But over time, Jake came to see Alex as the brother he never had. They bonded over their shared love of football and terrible dad jokes. Jake was even Alex's best man at our wedding 10 years ago. Everything changed when Alex and I started trying for a baby 7 years ago. We were so excited and naive back then, thinking it would happen quickly. But month after month, we faced disappointment. At first, we kept it to ourselves, not wanting to worry our families. But as time went on and the struggle became more apparent, we opened up about our fertility issues. Jake's wife Sarah, 36F, got pregnant with her first child around the same time we started trying. I was genuinely happy for them, but it was hard to see them start their family so easily while we struggled. Jake, who had always been my rock, suddenly seemed distant and uncomfortable around me. He would avoid the topic of babies altogether or make awkward jokes about how we needed to try harder. As our fertility journey continued, we went through multiple rounds of IVF. Each failure was devastating, but we tried to stay hopeful. During this time, Jake and Sarah had 2 more children in quick succession. While I loved being an aunt, each pregnancy announcement and baby shower felt like a knife to my heart. Jake's behavior during this time was puzzling and hurtful. He seemed to swing between avoiding me entirely and making insensitive comments. Once, after a particularly difficult failed IVF cycle, he told me at a family dinner that maybe I should stop obsessing over having a baby and find a hobby instead. I was shocked and hurt, but I tried to brush it off, telling myself he just didn't understand. 2 years ago, after our last failed IVF attempt, our doctor told us that our chances of conceiving were extremely low. I was crushed. I fell into a deep depression, barely leaving the house for weeks. Alex was my rock during this time, but I could see the toll it was taking on him too. During this dark period, Jake's insensitivity reached new heights. He would often make comments like, "Just relax, it'll happen when you stop trying so hard," or "maybe you're not meant to be a mom." Each word felt like a dagger, coming from the brother who had once been my fiercest supporter. The situation came to a head at our parents' 40th anniversary party last year. I had just found out that our latest IVF round had failed, and I was feeling particularly raw and vulnerable. I tried to put on a brave face for our parents' sake, but I guess my pain was still visible. Jake cornered me in the kitchen when I was getting a glass of water. He started lecturing me about how I needed to get over it and stop being so selfish. He said I was ruining family gatherings with my mopey attitude and that I should be happy for him and Sarah instead of wallowing in self-pity. He even suggested that my obsession with having a baby was putting a strain on his relationship with Alex. I was stunned. This wasn't the brother I knew and loved. I tried to explain how hurtful his words were, how the pain of infertility wasn't something I could just get over. But he just got angrier, accusing me of being jealous of his kids and trying to make everything about me. The argument escalated, and Alex, hearing raised voices, came to check on me. When he realized what was happening, he stepped in, telling Jake to back off and stop being so cruel. Jake, red-faced and fuming, stormed off. Alex and I left the party early, both of us shaken by what had transpired. Since then, things have been very tense between Jake and me. At family events, he barely speaks to me, and when he does, it's usually to make snide comments. Our parents have tried to mediate, arranging family dinners and encouraging us to talk things out. But Jake refuses to acknowledge that he did anything wrong. He insists that I'm overreacting and need to grow up. This rift has affected the entire family dynamic. Our younger sister, Emma, 30F, feels caught in the middle, trying to maintain relationships with both of us without taking sides. Our parents are stressed and saddened by the conflict, often reminiscing about the close relationship Jake and I used to have. Last month, something unexpected happened. I started feeling nauseous and tired all the time. At first, I dismissed it as stress from the ongoing family drama and my demanding job as a high school teacher. But after a few weeks, when the symptoms didn't subside, I decided to see my doctor. To my absolute shock, she told me I was pregnant, about 12 weeks along. Alex and I were overjoyed but also terrified given our history. We decided to keep the news quiet until we were further along, not wanting to get our hopes up or deal with family reactions just yet. However, at a family dinner last week, our mom noticed I wasn't drinking wine, which was unusual for me. She guessed immediately and was thrilled. In her excitement, she started telling everyone at the table, including Jake and Sarah. Jake's reaction was not what I expected. Instead of being happy for us, he accused me of stealing his thunder. Apparently, Sarah is also pregnant with their fourth child, and they were planning to announce it at the next family gathering. He said it was selfish of me to get pregnant now when his kids were finally old enough to appreciate having a baby cousin. I was hurt and angry. After years of insensitivity and cruel comments about our fertility struggles, this felt like the last straw. Alex, always my defender, told Jake that his behavior was unacceptable and that if he couldn't be happy for us, he should keep his opinions to himself. The dinner ended in chaos, with Jake and Sarah leaving abruptly and our parents trying to smooth things over. Since then, Alex and I have decided to limit contact with Jake and Sarah for the duration of my pregnancy. We don't want any added stress during this high-risk time. Some family members, particularly our sister Emma and our uncle Joe, 58M, think we're overreacting. They say we shouldn't throw away our relationship with Jake over this, that family is too important. But I feel like this is just the culmination of years of hurtful behavior. Am I wrong for wanting to distance myself from my brother during what should be one of the happiest times of my life? How do I balance my desire to protect my mental health and my pregnancy with the pressure to maintain family harmony? I never thought I'd be in a position where I had to choose between my brother and my own well-being, but here I am, feeling lost and conflicted. Update 1, it's been about 2 months since my last post, and so much has happened. I'm now 20 weeks pregnant, and we just found out we're having a little girl. Alex and I are over the moon, but the situation with Jake has only gotten worse. After we announced our decision to limit contact, Jake went on what I can only describe as a rampage. He started calling our parents, Emma, and other relatives, telling them that we were being dramatic and selfish. He even posted a long rant on Facebook about how family should always come first and how hurt he was that we were pushing him away for no reason. Our parents were initially torn. They've always been peacekeepers, and the idea of their children being at odds is difficult for them. Mom would call me almost daily, tearfully pleading for us to work things out. Dad, usually the more stoic one, seemed lost and unsure of how to handle the situation. They wanted everyone to get along and couldn't understand why we couldn't just talk it out. But then something unexpected happened. Our cousin Emily, 32F, reached out to me privately. Emily and I were close as kids but drifted apart in adulthood as she moved across the country for work. She told me that she had been following the family drama from afar and felt compelled to share her own experience with Jake. Apparently, 2 years ago, Emily had a miscarriage. She had been about 10 weeks along and was devastated. When she confided in Jake during a rare visit home, he had been similarly insensitive. According to Emily, he told her to get over it because it wasn't even a real baby yet. He suggested she was overreacting and that she should be grateful it happened early rather than later in the pregnancy. Emily's story shocked me. It was like a missing puzzle piece falling into place, showing a pattern of behavior I hadn't fully recognized before. It also gave me the courage to open up to our parents about all the hurtful things Jake had said and done over the years. I showed them text messages where he had mocked our fertility struggles and dismissed our pain. I recounted incidents at family gatherings where he had made insensitive comments or jokes at our expense. Our parents were stunned. They had no idea the extent of Jake's behavior. Mom broke down crying, apologizing for not seeing what was happening and for pressuring us to reconcile. Dad, always a man of few words, simply said he was disappointed in Jake and that he understood our need for distance. This revelation changed the family dynamic significantly. Our parents stopped pressuring us to make amends with Jake and instead started to set boundaries of their own. They told Jake that his behavior was unacceptable and that he needed to apologize and make amends if he wanted to be fully included in family events. Jake didn't take this well. He accused me of turning the family against him and manipulating our parents. He started sending angry messages to everyone, claiming we were all ganging up on him and Sarah. Things came to a head at a family barbecue last weekend. It was supposed to be a small gathering to celebrate Emma's recent promotion at work. Alex and I had declined to attend because we knew Jake and Sarah would be there. However, halfway through the event, we received a frantic call from Emma. Apparently, Jake had shown up in a foul mood, already having had a few drinks. He immediately started making passive-aggressive comments about how some people think they're too good for family. When Emma asked him to stop, he got louder and more obnoxious, ranting about how unfair everyone was being to him. Alex and I decided to go over, hoping to defuse the situation. When we arrived, the tension was palpable. Jake, red-faced and slurring slightly, immediately zeroed in on us. He started hurling accusations, saying we were tearing the family apart and that we were selfish for hogging all the attention with our pregnancy. Alex tried to calm him down, speaking in a low, soothing voice and asking Jake to think about the stress he was causing. But Jake was beyond reason. He got in Alex's face, poking his chest and asking if he wanted to take this outside. That's when our dad stepped in. I've never seen him so angry. He physically put himself between Jake and Alex, telling Jake that his behavior was unacceptable and that if he couldn't be supportive, he needed to leave. Jake was stunned. He tried to argue, but our mom backed up Dad, saying that Jake's actions were hurting everyone and that he needed to take a step back and reflect on his behavior. Jake and Sarah left in a huff, with Jake yelling that we'd regret this as they drove away. The rest of us were left shaken, the barbecue effectively ruined. Emma was in tears, feeling guilty for having the event in the first place. Our parents looked older than I'd ever seen them, worn down by the conflict. Since then, Jake has been sending angry messages to everyone, claiming we've turned the family against him. He's been posting vague, angry statuses on social media, leading to concerned messages from extended family and old friends who don't know the full story. Most relatives are ignoring him, but a few, particularly our Aunt Linda, 55F, and Uncle Joe, are still pressuring us to reconcile for the sake of family harmony. They keep talking about how we'll regret this rift when our parents are gone, and how family should always come first. But Alex and I are standing firm. We've decided to focus on preparing for our daughter's arrival and surround ourselves with positive, supportive people. We've started attending birthing classes and have been busy setting up the nursery. Alex's parents, who live a few hours away, have been amazingly supportive, often driving up on weekends to help out and offer emotional support. It's sad that Jake won't be a part of this exciting time in our lives. There are moments when I miss the brother I used to have, the one who protected me and made me laugh. But then I remember all the pain he's caused, and I know we're making the right decision for our mental health and the well-being of our baby. As my due date approaches, I'm trying to focus on the joy of impending motherhood rather than the family drama. But it's hard not to wonder what the future holds. Will Jake ever realize the harm he's caused? Will our family ever heal from this rift? Only time will tell. Update 2. Another couple of months have passed, and I'm now 32 weeks pregnant. The situation with Jake has taken an unexpected turn, and I'm not sure how to feel about it. Last month, I received a text from Sarah asking if we could meet for coffee. I was hesitant, given everything that had happened, but curiosity got the better of me. We met at a quiet cafe near my house, and what Sarah told me left me reeling. She started by apologizing for not standing up to Jake's behavior over the years. She explained that things in their marriage haven't been great for a while, even before all the recent drama. Apparently, Jake's insensitivity isn't limited to just family members struggling with fertility. He's been dismissive of Sarah's struggles with postpartum depression after their last baby and has been spending more and more time away from home. Sarah confided that she's been considering leaving Jake. She said watching how Alex supports me made her realize how unhealthy her own relationship is. She told me about incidents I had no idea about, Jake belittling her career aspirations, dismissing her concerns about their children, even flirting with other women at parties. I was sympathetic but cautious. While I appreciated her apology and felt sorry for her situation, I made it clear that it didn't erase years of hurt. I suggested that she might benefit from talking to a therapist or counselor to work through her feelings and decide on her next steps. After our meeting, I was conflicted. Part of me felt vindicated that someone else was finally seeing Jake's behavior for what it was. But another part of me felt sad for the deterioration of a relationship that had once seemed so strong. A week after Sarah's confession, Jake showed up at our door unannounced. It was a Sunday afternoon, and Alex and I were in the middle of assembling the crib for the nursery. Jake looked terrible, unshaven, with dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in days. He broke down crying almost immediately, saying Sarah had left him and taken the kids to her parents' house. Between sobs, he told us that Sarah had given him an ultimatum: get help for his anger and drinking problems, or she would file for divorce. Jake begged us to help him fix things with Sarah and the rest of the family. He said he realized he had been a total jerk, his words, and wanted to make amends. He even got down on his knees, pleading with me to talk to Sarah on his behalf. I was conflicted. Part of me felt sorry for him. This broken man was so far from the strong, protective older brother I once knew. But a larger part was still angry about how he had treated us and wary of his sudden change of heart. Alex and I exchanged a look, silently communicating as we often do. Then, as gently as we could, we told Jake that while we were sorry he was going through a tough time, we weren't in a position to help him. We suggested he seek professional help to work on his issues, both for his own sake and for his family's. Jake didn't take this well. His sorrow quickly turned to anger. He accused us of being heartless and said we were kicking him while he was down. He said he couldn't believe his own sister would abandon him in his time of need. Then he stormed off, slamming our front door so hard that the pictures rattled on the walls. We haven't heard from Jake directly since then, but the family grapevine has been buzzing. Our parents called the next day to let us know that Jake had shown up at their house in a similar state. They're trying to encourage him to seek therapy, but so far, he's resistant to the idea. Emma called me in tears, saying Jake had been leaving her rambling, sometimes incoherent voicemails. She's worried about his mental state but doesn't know how to help. I advised her to keep her distance for now and to encourage Jake to seek professional help if he reaches out again. The whole situation has stirred up a lot of complicated feelings. While I don't want to see my brother suffer, I also don't feel ready to let him back into my life, especially with a baby coming soon. His volatile behavior is concerning, and I worry about the stress it could cause me and the baby. Continuing from where we left off, Alex and I are trying to focus on the final preparations for our daughter's arrival, but the family drama is definitely casting a shadow over what should be a joyful time. We finished setting up the nursery, a peaceful room painted in soft yellows and greens. Alex's mom helped us decorate, and it's become my favorite place in the house. Sometimes I sit in the rocking chair, rubbing my belly and talking to our little girl, trying to push away thoughts of the family turmoil. We've started attending birthing classes twice a week. The other expectant parents there have become a sort of support system. It's refreshing to be around people who don't know about our family drama and just see us as an excited couple awaiting their first child. Despite everything, I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the miracle growing inside me. After years of thinking this would never happen, every kick and movement feels like a precious gift. Alex has been my rock through all of this, attending every doctor's appointment, indulging my midnight cravings, and always knowing when I need a hug or a listening ear. As my due date approaches, I can't help but wonder what the future holds. Will Jake get the help he needs? Will our family ever heal from this rift? Only time will tell. Update 3. Our beautiful daughter, Lily, was born 3 weeks ago. The birth was difficult. I had to have an emergency C-section after 20 hours of labor, but both Lily and I are doing well now. The moment they placed her in my arms, all the pain and struggle of the past years seemed to melt away. Alex has been an absolute rock through everything, barely leaving our side during our stay in the hospital. Coming home with Lily has been a whirlwind of emotions. We're exhausted but completely in love with our little girl. The nights are long, and the days are a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and stolen naps. But every time Lily wraps her tiny hand around my finger or Alex makes her smile, my heart feels like it might burst with happiness. Unfortunately, the drama with Jake hasn't subsided. He didn't reach out when Lily was born, even though our parents informed him. They told us he's been asking about her, but apparently, he's upset that we didn't tell him about the birth ourselves. It's frustrating because it feels like he's making Lily's birth about him instead of celebrating this new life. Our parents and Emma have visited several times, absolutely doting on Lily. It's bittersweet watching them with her, knowing that in a different world, Jake and his family would be part of these moments too. Emma confided that Jake's kids have been asking about their new cousin, not understanding why they haven't met her yet. Sarah contacted us again last week. She and the kids are still staying with her parents, and she started divorce proceedings. Jake apparently refused to seek help or acknowledge his issues, leaving her feeling like she had no choice. She asked if we would be willing to write a statement about Jake's behavior over the years, as it might be relevant to their custody arrangements. Alex and I are still considering whether or not to get involved. On one hand, we want to support Sarah and ensure the kids are in a healthy environment. On the other, we're wary of getting dragged into legal proceedings and potentially escalating the conflict with Jake. The most recent development came yesterday, and it's left us shaken. Jake showed up at our house in the evening, clearly drunk. He started banging on the door and yelling about how we've ruined his life and demanding to see his niece. Lily was sleeping, and his shouting woke her up, sending her into a crying fit. Alex managed to calm Jake down and convince him to leave without incident, but it was scary. The thought of Jake's volatile behavior around our newborn daughter is terrifying. We're now seriously considering getting a restraining order, something I never thought I'd have to do against my own brother. This whole situation has made me realize how toxic Jake's presence in our lives has been. While I hope he gets the help he needs, my priority now is protecting my daughter and our little family. We're looking into moving to a new house in a different neighborhood, partly to have more space for Lily as she grows, but also to have some distance from all this drama. We've also started discussing the possibility of family therapy, not necessarily with Jake right now, but perhaps with our parents and Emma. There's a lot of hurt and confusion to work through, and we think having a neutral third party might help us navigate these complicated emotions and family dynamics. Despite everything, these past few weeks with Lily have been the happiest of my life. Alex and I are exhausted but completely in love with our little girl. We're focusing on enjoying this special time and building a positive, loving environment for our daughter. Every day, I look at Lily and feel grateful for the journey that brought her to us, challenging as it was. While the situation with Jake is painful, it's also made me appreciate the healthy, supportive relationships in my life even more. As we move forward, our goal is to surround Lily with love, positivity, and strong, healthy family bonds, whatever form that family might take. Comments, User 1, NTA. Your brother sounds toxic, and you're right to protect yourself and your baby from his behavior. Congrats on your little one. User 2, this is such a tough situation. While I feel for your brother, you need to prioritize your own mental health and your baby's well-being. Stay strong. User 3, as someone who's also dealt with infertility, I can't imagine how hurtful your brother's comments must have been. You don't owe him anything. Focus on your new little family and let him deal with the consequences of his actions. User 4, it sounds like your brother might be dealing with some serious issues of his own. While that doesn't excuse his behavior, maybe encouraging him to seek professional help could be a step towards healing for everyone involved. User 5, congratulations on your baby girl. You've been through so much, and you deserve to enjoy this special time without all this added stress. Sending positive vibes your way.